Welcome, viewer, wherever you are. This is LTN Sports Dialogue, and this is a show that brings you most of the talking points in sports. And we normally have people of different shades in the sporting industry, bringing us a lot of experiences, news, reviews, updates, and any other thing that we say is sportish, and that is why we call ourselves the Arena of Sports. My name is Nico Kello. I'll be hosting one very distinct guest here who is distinguished in his own right. And majority of you who are sports lovers perhaps know him. Maybe he will have his own time to tell who he is. However, it's a time that all of us should sit back and get ready for some very intriguing interview that will be going on this time on till the end of it. Welcome. My name is Nico Kelo. Karibu sana, Bwana CEO. It's nice having you along on set, at least for the first time. Yeah, I think. And we count that as a blessing. How are you?
Thank you very much, Nick. Good morning, and it's great to be here. I've been seeing a lot of LTN sports, and I was wondering what's this that's cooking, but it's good to be here.
So eventually you are here.
Thank you.
That is what LTN Sport has been cooking. And yes, you didn't just tell us your name, and perhaps that is where people would want to know who is this.
My name is Raymond Oruo. I'm currently a sports consultant, formerly the immediate former CEO of Mahia Football Club. And I've been a lot of things in sports. I've worked at Kenya Rugby. I've worked at KCB as a sports team manager. I've been an international rugby referee. So sports is my arena.
Sports is your arena. I love that. That's nice. Now, with all this kind of hats that you wear, let's begin from where you are just immediately before you got into where you are right now. This is at Gor Mahia Football Club. I'm beginning there because Gor Mahia is actually the biggest club around, and having been there also means so much. Just what was it like being a CEO of Gor Mahia? And are there any achievements you'd point out, perhaps, that you gained or you gave during that time?
Thanks, Nick. I think it's interesting when I went to the time I went to Gor Mahia. Remember that was the post-COVID era. Very difficult time indeed for everyone globally, and more so during in sports and in football at that. Lots of challenges during that time. From lack of funds, quite a turbulent period in Gore at that time. I think I came in during when Pollack was just leaving, or was
Pollack was the coach at
that time,
yeah.
And was leaving. So that was a very turbulent period in terms of the coaching, but very enriching experience at Gor Mahia. Thankful for that opportunity to have served this great club. Lots of learning that I picked out. Having been in sports, this was different because you're then dealing with the biggest club, as you said, and that's when you pick out nuggets that football is totally different from other sports.
From other sports,
yeah.
And again, now being that again it's Gor Mahia, that must have been a very serious moment. I remember during that time, Gor Mahia, as you say, was in serious turbulent moments. We had players taking God to FIFA for unpaid allowances and wages. The club was serving some ban from CAF. Everything was in turmoil, and there were no even players to play at one point because it was just immediately after COVID, and things were so messy. How did you guys stabilize and steer out of this kind of quagmire?
I think one of the things that you must have in the background is that that was the back of Sports Pesa having pulled out as a sponsor. So God did not have a sponsor, a title sponsor. Difficult time. And just to let you know that typically the title sponsor takes care of mainly the wage bill. So the club went for about, I think, 4 years without a sponsor. COVID came, even worse. After post-COVID, not even a single revenue that you can get from even fan attendance,
because there were no fans.
There were no fans coming there. That is one, which led to the second thing that you've mentioned. Um, During COVID and post-COVID, a lot of the foreign players were let go because of the nature of the pandemic at that time. So people were let go. But from the onset, I must say that when you look at how the players were let go, it did not. It wasn't mutual, as you want to say. There's no mutual agreement. So one side terminated, or even if there was no signed document that you can present. But one case that was also very interesting during that time was um, there was an allegation that a player used his thumbprint and there was a signature, so there was that disparity in in the papers, in the documentation. But yes, it was a very difficult time, um, made worse by the fact that there's no funding. FIFA The FIFA bans. I think the time where we were serving two concurrent one post 2022, 2023, around that point. You remember when Jonathan McKinstry was taking over, we think we only had 17, 18 players that could play, having pulled some from
The entire squad of
20
totaling to 17
to
only.
20.
So you could even have a proper training session.
And all that coupled with unpaid salaries, unpaid allowances. So those boycotts of training. And kudos to the then new coach, Jonathan McKinstry, who said, if there are 4 people, we shall train the 4 people. And he understood the situation. It wasn't the players had to demand for what they demanded. He said he was only going to deal with those who are
willing to be there,
and who are satisfied to serve the club.
And I think that is almost the same year that Gor Mahia took the title.
We shall come to that. But yes, you've gone ahead of yourself. So let's go back a bit. So that's the time Pollack is leaving. The Brazilian comes. The issues with his papers and the qualifications doesn't last long. We are going to play Confed Cup that year. Again, difficult times going for the Confed Cup. In came Vaz Pinto, the coach. Summary of that is that we won the cup. Difficult time this season, but we won the cup that season. Then between that, I think we had a series of 4 Harrison, Piers. Then I think we settled down when McKinstry came. So that was a very turbulent time. But I think it needed some focus and some guidance, which I think the former SG and the office did pretty well. And there was a period that we looked at all the cases that we had at FIFA, and they were all cases that just needed some proper documentation and proper agreement on when to pay. You see, when the case has already reached FIFA, it's gone through the period that you're given, the grace period that you're given. Is it 45 days to settle it out of court? But so there were a series of those cases that came through. I think in all that total, the summation of all that is that after McKinstry's first year, when we won the league, we were unable to play the Champions League. You remember that? So all this is a culmination of these cases, and that to me was a case that, because in all honesty, I think the balance that needed to be paid was, I think, less than $3,000 at that point. So there was a payment. There was a there was
Payment
a
delay.
payment. There was a payment made, but a payment made in a wrong account. So
Yeah, I
there
remember
was a
something like
payment
that. Yeah.
made. The payment was made, but the payment was made to a wrong account. So in my thinking, and in hindsight right now, I think it's something that would have been solved, because I think CAF does not ban anyone. It's a federation that issues the license. So that is where we got stuck for that. But I think at the back of that, I think the cases were all cleared, and the ban was lifted. And I think in the January of the subsequent year, when McKinsey second year, the ban was cleared, and we signed. I think that's when Sylvester and the group joined the team. But I think there are very many learnings that you pick from there. But grateful that in the 4 years we won 2 championships back to back, and a cup title.
Yeah, at one point, Gor Mahia accused the federation of literally just denying them the clearance to go and participate at CAF for what they termed as very flimsy reasons, because they thought on their end they had cleared everything, they've done everything, and therefore it was the duty of the federation to try and you know what, do their part to ensure that now the team went out. But the federation on one hand said also that, oh, you guys just clear your dues. So it was, it was an accusation of an accusation, and again things did not really look good.
So fact, there was money that was due. There was an agreement that was signed. That was which player was this? Adama? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was Adama,
There's
there was Sando,
there's
there
a number of guys. Remember then. So there was an agreement for some money to pay. I can't remember the exact amounts. So when club licensing was done, the agent raised that there was a balance, I think, of $3,000. I think if $3,000. I think if I'm not wrong, you'll cross check and see if that's the case. That amount had actually been paid,
but to a wrong account.
So
by all intents and purposes, the federation should have understood that.
According to Gore, they had cleared, but this guy is saying they had not. What is interesting is that money had been sent to that account before, and it had been received.
And was the communication given to the federation in time about that?
The communication was availed. Now, my understanding right now of how this works is that CAF will not ban you. It is the federation that issues the license. Mm-hmm. In our case, within the stipulated time, the federation had the powers to give God the opportunity to pay and rectify that payment, and it's $3,000 we're talking about.
Surely, even federation should have paid that and then put it back to Gor Mahia and tell God that, we will be recovering our money in this sequence.
In good faith, you've gone ahead and said what a practical solution would be.
Yeah.
So it didn't sit pretty well that your own federation is buying you from participating
in a continental.
And yes, as I said, there was money owed, but we've shown that the money was paid. It's just
some technicalities,
but it was eventually paid. Yeah.
Well, I think the federation is still stand accused on this. You should have done better. And going forward, maybe as a learning curve, the federation should know that they carry the burden of all the teams at the continental stage, because you are the father. When your kids are there and going out, you should wish them well, and you see,
I think
give
Nick,
them all the support they need.
I think, Nick, in a summary, I think what we should look at is to ensure that clubs comply with club licensing. I think that is the minimum. So if we can actually all comply to club licensing, then these problems are not there. And anyway, there is nothing wrong with owing money. I think it's declaring and having an agreement, a plan that you stick to.
Okay, I think that is a point we can stick here on until very late, because club licensing in Kenya, as it is even right now, if you look at all the Kenya Premier League clubs, really, I think they've not met 100% licensing requirements, because if you go through what FIFA CAF wants for a club to be licensed, I think again the federation has been so lenient to some of the clubs, and that is very, very, very encouraging of them. I think next time they should call a workshop and instill this sense into the clubs and make them do these things.
I think
and have an action plan, like maybe in the next 3 years, let all the clubs in the Premier League.
I think the workshops are held, and you rightly say that if we go strictly by the club licensing rules, I
don't think any club in Kenya
we'd struggle.
We'll struggle to meet it.
We'd struggle, but we should do better. I think that's the next step, that we should be saying that if you're going to compete and compete effectively, then we must push those envelopes and those borders so that we get there.
Well, I think we are going now to again another end. You know KPL so well. Do you think Kenyan football is headed to the right direction? You've been there as a CEO, you've met other CEOs, you've mingled with other clubs at the federation level and every other thing. From where you stand today, do you think our football in the next 5 years shall have grown, or will remain stuck here? You have a new federation in place. Do you think they're doing enough?
We need to do a lot more. We really need to do a lot more. 15 years ago, the KPL was one of the top-ranked sides in Africa. I think we've fallen way off the radar, and we need to work a lot more. We need to work a lot more on everything in our league. We go back to what you just talked about, alluded to. Let's look at the club licensing. What are the bare minimums that people must have? Then we start ticking the boxes. Then we move to the next. We may not be able to achieve everything at once, but we must set minimums that we must have. That said, we're not doing too badly. There is need for more clubs to throw in the hat and compete. We've talked about this offset and said that it becomes business as usual. That when you look at the table in the second half, you can tell what the season is going to look like. We need more people challenging. More teams challenging for the title, because then that's when the quality of the league comes in. The one of losses and wins here needs to be a little more regular, so there's more consistency, and then our top teams must be consistent. Just case in point, last week, Gor beaten 4-2 by APS. Nothing wrong with APS, but surely that's the consistency I'm talking about. Losses are there, inevitable, because it's a long haul. But there needs to be consistency.
Even before you go on, Gor Mahia lost to 4 goals. I don't know, years when you were not even born. people say a lot of things. This match perhaps was played somewhere in a boardroom, and then just a photocopy brought into the field. Something was wrong because a team at the bottom that has not won any just the second game,
Well, Nick,
beating Gor Mahia 4
Nick,
goals.
it's football. I understand the pain, but all we're asking for, and what all we're saying, is that for the league to improve, there needs to be consistency from everyone, and teams needs to raise the game. And as I said, let's look at bare minimums that we can then achieve. You know, there are things that can be done, but it will also take time. What's our minimum pay in the Premier League? What is the minimum pay? Let's also not name anyone.
Some of these people don't even have a minimum pay.
There you go. But
what is there?
But is there a minimum pay that we've set? Those are the kind of things. Now, those are the things that now we start raising. There's a call for registering more foreign players. Is there a need to do that? Something that we can look at. Yeah. Is there consistency in how we play? I get, is there a ticketing price limit? Last week I saw the ticket price that police was charging against Shabana. A beautiful game that was played on Sunday that would have been enhanced by the presence of fans. Is there a minimum ticketing price? Is there a maximum ticketing price? So these are the things that the league body needs to put in place, and then we grow the game and enhance the experience for the fans.
Oh, those are very good areas of discussion. I think picking from this, that's why we call it LTN Sports Dialogue, because here we dialogue on matters that are very pertinent. Like right now, Ray is asking here if we really have standards in terms of our ticketing, quality, everything, the teams. All these matters is raising here are matters that a federation that is worth speaking about should pick and run with as matter of urgency. As we go on, Ray, what would you say are the striking similarities or differences between this federation that has just come in, is now going to 1 year, and the other one that left just 1 year ago? Are there striking similarities or differences that you would point out, because you worked with both of them at one point?
Leadership is different. They lead different leadership styles. But what I can tell you is that there's a marked difference at the moment. I think there's a little more consultation and involvement and participation.
More consultation.
Consultation.
Underline the word consultation.
And members' participation. I think that for me is my biggest takeout and the biggest difference. Football is sports for all. You wouldn't do it alone. I think everyone has an idea, however little you think it is, but everyone has a contribution. But more so, if you're going to play and improve the league, you must involve the stakeholders. You can't do things in silo. I think for me, my biggest takeout for this is consultation and availability in terms of approach of the leadership.
Well, I think that is that's a compliment on the side of the federation. Kudos for that. Hussein Mohammed and team, please continue consulting. It's important when you want to build that game. Now we switch to AFCON and Chan. We just hosted Chan here rather successfully, I must say. And yes, it went like it went. And I think Kenya gave a very, very nice show of Chan, and more is expected of us into AFCON that is forthcoming again in this region. As a football administrator who is even now at the very top end of its studies, what do you foresee AFCON to bring in terms of the excitement, in terms of the feeling, in terms of or everything around football in this region of East Africa?
I think these are exciting times for East Africa. I think this is a region that has lagged behind in terms of hosting continental tournaments, and it was a welcome relief that CAF awarded East Africa the Pamoja bid, the AFCON for 2025, and prior to that, early this year, we had Chan. For me, the greatest takeout for this is the legacy that will be left behind. Not even the tournament. What is it that will be left behind? Let's talk about infrastructure. Our infrastructure is in dire need for help and for uplift. I get goosebumps every time I drive down Ngong Road and I see Talanta City coming up. Magnificent. That is something that Kenyans should be proud of.
World class. World class.
Beautiful. I like what my brother Francis Ngira wrote, that there's a lot of hue and cry that it's costly, but what isn't costly in Kenya, and we are still paying for. I'm happy that's one thing that gives me.
At Atalanta Sports Complex,
I like it.
It's another one.
So there's going to be a uplift of our infrastructure. I think Kasarani will be done, and Kasarani will be redone. Nyayo, the training venues. So for me, is what we're leaving behind. For me, as a football administrator, I'm happy that there is availability of infrastructure. That is one. Two, skill transfer. There'll be more of our people who will be involved in these tournaments. Learn new skills on how the game is administered, how on match day experience. So skill transfer, infrastructure. Three, the opportunity for our players to play at that level. So happy that we are going to play in Chan, in AFCON. The downside of that process of playing in AFCON is that you realize we're not going to play any qualifier between now
and the kickoff.
There's no, so we are at a disadvantage that we're not playing qualifier because we're out of the World Cup, and we're not playing qualifier until after the World Cup when the next series starts. So we've got to be very deliberate. So it's a positive in itself. We can pick on how we are preparing for the next AFCON. But my take is that there will be good exposure for our players and for the country, showcasing itself and sports tourism and all that. So three key takeouts for me for the AFCON, for the region, and particularly for Kenya.
Okay, maybe because of time, over and above the three texts that you said, are we able to raise a team to compete at that level? You said here that it's not right that we not be in the qualifiers. We are waiting till the kickoff. So it's upon us as a country and the federation to see how they prepare this team by giving enough exposure and exchanges here and there, friendlies, all that, so that the team can be prepared for this. Because hosting is one thing, and then living up to the standard and expectation of fans is another thing. So do you think we are able to raise a team?
What do you mean we are able to raise a team? We
have to.
We have to raise a team.
There's raising a team to compete and raising a team to honor the fixtures.
So I think the talent we have, I think the will is there. I think there is government support. I think we've seen that from the little that we saw at Chan. So it's really up to the honchos at the federation to put together their thoughts with the technical team and create a clear plan and communicate the clear plan so that people buy into it. It's important that we buy into it. It's unfortunate that last week, is it to the FIFA break, we 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 got a hiding against Senegal. But
That is
that's
that's
for
not even
me.
a hiding. That is now what you call now a proper vanquishing. Somebody vanquishes you,
I think
and
is 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 that the reality where we are? Maybe let's look at the silver lining of that result. We've got good time. We've been shown where we are. We've got work to do, lots of work to do. So for me, yes,
just work on it.
it's terrible. It's a bad feeling. It happened when we were in Cairo for the CAF training.
I can
I
imagine. I can
think I
imagine
was
the kind,
yeah, yeah.
the kind of hiding you had to take.
They just keep asking me 8, brother, 8.
Yeah, I mean,
But
handball, even handball.
when you look at it and say, okay, it pains, but what is the lining? What does it tell us? At least we know where we are. If we had to field a side today, is that our best side? What options do we have? So I think it's let's take lessons out of it. I think suit up, dust up ourselves, and get to work.
Pick up ourselves up and we move on because we've got to. Before we just leave this sport here, you are undertaking a CAF football executive management program that you currently are doing. Uh, what is it all about? Maybe so briefly, and then how long does it take? And when are you guys graduating? And tell us why we can't have these things in Kenya. You always have to go. You always have to go to South Africa and Egypt, East Africa region. Why don't you have this? Don't you have institutions that can even run these programs? What is it that is so wrong with us having it around here, so that you don't have to fly every other coursework and sessions to go there?
Um, the executive program that CAF has brought about is a clear pathway for upskilling of sports football administrators in the country, and because the reasoning is that for us to take the game to the next level, I don't like using that term, but there it is. For us to progress the game, we need to have the skill and the know-how to compete with what others are doing out there. And there is a lot of potential in Africa. So primarily the program is for football administrators around Africa. Um, there are 2 categories. There will be the francophone one and for the anglophone one. So I'm in the anglophone section. We're about 35. Has club leaders, club executives, federation, league managers, um, financiers. So it's a mix. It's a good mix. It's a 6 months. It's a 6 months course. Upon graduation, we'll have a certificate of football management. It covers broad areas of football management. So we were at the course in September in Cairo. Um Last month we were in Cairo again, but in between we have online classes, which we also have right now in December for the next 1 week. Then in January we go, because this is a collaboration between CAF and the University of Cape Town. So next month in January, next year January, we go for the final sessions in Cape Town, and we graduate. So it ends there. But it is a course that is very enriching, and what is even more important is the networking that you're able to get around it. I like the point that you bring, that why can't we do this here? I think these are the kind of things that we need to try and push for, because with the CAF, with the AFCON coming in 2 years, these are the kind of things that we should get, so that these learnings are able to be localized. The brilliant institutions we have around here that if Football Kenya Federation can collaborate with, I'm sure CAF would be able to support and get that knowledge locally.
Absolutely. I don't see why the hell we should go all the north to Cairo to go and do a course. If it's just a partnership between CAF and an institution, we have thousands of them in Kenya. Why can't we make a deliberate move get the government behind it, get the federation do it, and then we have these courses done here, even for the benefit of most of people who cannot manage to fly
Correct.
each and every
I
time.
think this is the time to take advantage of this. There's government goodwill. I think we've got the brilliant institutions around. So if the federation can look at federation and CECAFA, because that is a regional thing,
Yeah.
then we'd be able to. And I think there is goodwill from all the three Pamoja states.
Being the
Yeah,
stakeholders.
yeah.
Well, we are completing this now, and I don't want to complete this show without the CEO telling us he's somebody who is in another sport right now, where after leaving Gor Mahia, it's like you always land the next business, you know, of one after the other. Currently, just in a brief, where are
So
you?
I I moved back into sports consultancy, and with what I'm going through right now at the CAF program, so I'm more into sports consultancy, but leaning towards the football industry. Um, right now, I'm consulting for KCB Sports, and we are looking at generally all the sports, which include football, rugby, volleyball, women. So we are in that space of football consultancy, and generally in totality.
So I now call him a consultant as well of the of sports. I call him an administrator of football. You have all this, having been to rugby and all that and all that. Now, thank you very much for your time. But is the government doing enough to support sports in the country? You only have 2 seconds to say yes or no.
I think that there is positive outlook towards it.
Yeah.
If we look at what the government has been doing, I think for me the biggest takeout for this is infrastructure. If we can sort out the infrastructure and other policies, and I think they're heading there. A lot can be done, but I think it's positive.
It's in the right direction.
It's in the right direction.
There is all the goodwill. You think so?
I think from where I sit, I think I see goodwill.
Yeah.
I see drive. So it's really, the next thing is for us administrators
To pick it
to pick it up and push. And remember, we are the ones who drive the game, so we've got to push, and I think we'll get the helping hand to keep it going.
Wow. That is why it is called LTN Sports Dialogue. Where again would you find this kind of input, this kind of contribution? It's only here. That is why it's your arena of sports. Thank you very much, CEO, for your time. I know you're busy. You have classes to run to. You have consultancies to make. You have travels to go. I mean, your diary is always full of a lot of things. But you got time to be here with us for this very, very, very informative session. And I want to thank you for that moment. In your endeavors and in your graduation, kudos. I wish we would be in Cape Town, all of us, to stand by your side, but ni mbali sana bwana, ticket hatuwezi kuafford.
Thank you very much, Nick. And it would be do injustice to football if I don't talk about this coming weekend. There is a derby coming, and I think
maybe in less than a minute, kindly, because of time.
We urge the fans to turn out. I think this let's make this a spectacle, and we urge fans of both teams to turn up and make it
a memorable
day.
Yes, with Mashemeji Derby just around the corner, this is one of the biggest encounters in Kenya, and you know it brings not only football, but there is a feeling, there is a carnival, there is an experience that is always coming out of this, and that is why it only comes twice in a season. And indeed, this season we are beginning it right on Sunday. So be there at the stadium. Come in numbers, come with your families, your girlfriends, your wives, every other person. Come and let's enjoy the show. Just like we are enjoying this very, very encounter here at LTN Sports Dialogue. Thank you very much. I've been your host, Nico Kelo. Till we meet again, have yourselves a wonderful time.